Hello and welcome to the Autistic Thinking Anonymous Guide podcast. In this episode, episode 3, I'm going to talk about the issue of overcoming neediness in dating and possibly also in relationships. If you are in a longer term relationship and you want to remain in that relationship and be in a strong position, not having the other partner calling all the shots, that sort of thing. But I'm mainly thinking about this in terms of when you're dating, when you're going on dates and trying to meet women in general. And there's a little bit in this episode that might sound like I'm giving some advice. There's a little bit of that element in this episode because this is something I have been thinking about, and this has been my personal experience of how I've tried to deal with this problem. But I'm not really giving any advice at all. I'm just sharing my thoughts. And if you like them, if they resonate with you, then great. If something is helpful in this podcast, then all well and good. But if not, then I hope you just find it interesting. And some people may have completely different thoughts to me. I'm just talking about a few areas, but there may be other areas that I haven't even thought of, where one has a need for a relationship. So let's crack on and talk about this. So one thing I learned very early on when I started having some coaching on dating, and when I was frustrated for many years, I hired a coach, and one of the first things I learned is that women are drawn to a man who has other women interested in him. It's called pre-selection. A man with dating options, and they're going to be turned off by a man who's very needy. And in my the earliest dates I had in my 20s, I mean, I didn't know this, and I had no idea about this sort of thing. I was completely clueless. And I now think, looking back on it, I probably gave off a very anxious kind of vibe, which is a turn off, a very needy vibe. I had a lot of fear and anxiety in me. And I've heard it said that you cannot find love, or you're not going to find love, if you are full of fear. But you see, I didn't know that at the time, because I can't tell if a woman is feeling fearful or anxious. And if I like the look of her, I'm going to like the look of her regardless of the vibe or the energy that I feel around her. Unless perhaps it's extremely bad, but I probably wouldn't even notice that. So I thought it would be the same way for women. But being an autistic male, my ability to read and understand these non-verbal signals is way, way, way below most women. And I realize that most women do not see things in any kind of similar way to the way I do. But that's just a little kind of introduction. So, but early on, I was told that women are drawn to pre-selection, a man who has other women around him. So if they're in a bar or a club and they see other women around a guy, even if they're just friends, women are may well be drawn to that, or they might feel more attracted to you. They'd be thinking subconsciously, well, these other girls seem to approve of him. They see something in him, so there must be something in him that is of value. And so I was encouraged to try and at least be seen to be around women, to invite women out if I'm going out with mates, to invite some women to join us, to have female friends, and all that sort of thing, and to at least give that appearance of a man who's pre-selected. Because I do understand now that this is actually something that is very, very powerful, and also it's quite easy to engineer as well. I mean, anyone can get photos taken of him with women. Anyone can go to places where they'll meet women, where there will be women out there, and anyone can, anyone probably can find a wing girl, which could be of a great help. So it's quite easy to engineer, but I'm digressing here because that's not really what I was going to talk about. but the main point here is that women are turned off by a man who's needy, a man who needs them. And it's very difficult because there's so many nuances to this, and you can't go to the other extreme. One thing I've learned is that whilst a woman is going to be turned off by a man who's very needy and very clingy and all that sort of thing, at the same time, if you just show that that you're not interested in her at all, that you don't even recognise her as an attractive woman, then she's just going to assume, well, he's not interested and you're not even in the game. So you've got to basically, if you're in a pub or a bar or club and you see some hot woman walking in or walking past, you've kind of got to look and indicate, oh, she looks nice. And if you approach her or get talking to her, your attitude's to be, yeah, you're hot, I like how you look, but what else have you got? You know, do you qualify in other areas? What's your personality like? All that kind of stuff. So that she recognizes, yeah, she'll look at it from the point of view, yes, I know I'm hot. He can see that, he likes me, that there is that kind of male to female polarity in there, but he's not just wanting me in his life just because I'm hot. He's got standards, and he wants to, and he's testing me out to see if I meet those standards. And that attitude it is the one that will attract a woman, because if you give that off that attitude, it's going to imply that you are a man with options, that you've got other women that want to date you or that you may be dating already, and she has to basically qualify herself that she's going to level up to the other women in your life, subconsciously. All this is. But there are some real problems, because there are reasons why some men are needy, and why some men, including myself, sometimes I'd like to think less and less these days, but certainly in the past, I would go and approach women and go onto a date whenever the opportunity would arise, which was few and far between. But when it happened, I'd go to the date with a very, very needy mindset, as if I don't get many dates. This is one of the few opportunities. This is kind of make or break sort of thing. If this woman says yes and wants to become my girlfriend, I've got all these other needs are going to be met, and if not, I'm back to square one. That was my mindset when I was dating, certainly for much of my life, and I'm trying to shift this now. I mean, I'm at the stage now where, because of the people I've become friends with in more recent times, the people around me, the people I get to talk to, alongside some of the coaching I've had and some of the coaching, some of the dating coaching that I follow, and just by me getting a little bit older now, I mean, I'm just learning so much, and it just seems incredible. I mean, it's taken me kind of over 20 years of my adult life to figure this stuff out. I mean, I guess it's the way with a lot of us that we all have stuff that we don't figure out in life until we get into our middle-aged years. That takes decades to learn. And for me, it's this whole area of dating, which has been a real struggle. So let's get on to it. Now, imagine there's a man out there. You are a man, or you know a man who lives on his own, or maybe lives with his parents, or a flatmate who's not very sociable and has no real social life. They've got a job, they do a 9 to 5 or something, but evenings, weekends, they're on their own most of the time, watching TV, on the internet. They don't really have anyone to really hang out with very regularly at all. And I certainly used to be very much like that. And this kind of guy, on one occasion, he goes online, does a bit of online dating, and he finds a really attractive woman who wants to date him, who's willing to go out on a date. So this man, this lonely man, will be so excited, so egged up and also nervous but excited, or a bit of both, but really egged up for this date. And we'll be thinking, this was me, certainly me, sort of 15 years ago. He'll be thinking, right, I really want this girl to like me. I really want this girl to want to go on a second date with me and to become my girlfriend. Because if this girl becomes my girlfriend, then suddenly I'm going to have a whole new social life opened up to me. I'm going to get invited to her friends as the boyfriend for meals, and meet her friends or not her friend on nights out. And I'm going to have the physical intimacy, the sexual side of things. That needs going to be met as well. So I've got to try really hard to impress this girl, because I get all these things that I'm lacking at the moment. I'm going to have those needs met if this girl becomes my girlfriend. And if she does want to become my girlfriend, I'm back to square one. I'm back to the online dating. I'm back to sending all these messages where hardly any of them reply, and I've just got to try and find someone else who's going to date with me. This was very much my mindset around 15 years ago, when I started going on dates, when the first opportunities arose. But the problem is that this mindset is going to be very unattractive to women, and women can kind of smell that. They can smell that you really want it, that you're really overly keen. And also, I've heard it said that women can smell the kind of, your conquests. That if you are sexually active, then apparently women can, that they can sense that somehow. I don't know how. If I walk down the street, I've got no idea if people are sexually active. But I do. I mean, although I'm not sexually active, there was one occasion myself when I had a date one evening, and then I had the following day. I had a really social kind of day, and the following evening, I went to the pub on my own. There was an event going on there, which I was into, so I was quite happy there on my own. I was just chilling out, had a busy time, and I saw a girl sitting on her own. And I went up to approach her. It was quite an easy approach, to be fair, but it was one of those occasions that just worked. It just worked. I just went up, and I was able to talk about music, which is a strong subject for me. And I chatted with her for about 5-6 minutes, and then I said I've got to go and back to my back to where I'm sitting, because the event was about to resume again. I said, let me know if you want to go for a drink, and she gave me her number. And I am pretty sure that because I'd been on a date the previous night, which I thought had gone really well. I was expecting to see this woman again, and I'd had some really positive social things early on that day, that she could that had an effect on my vibe and my energy, and she could smell that energy I had, that I got from the fact I'd been around and dating other women. And as it was, we did go on a couple of dates, but that's another story. But this man, this lonely man, he's going to be really, he's going to give a very negative vibe because he's needy. Now, here's the thing. I think, how do you mitigate against that neediness? Well, I've been thinking about this a lot this last week, and I think what I do, and what I think people need to do, is first of all, have a good think about it. What is it I actually want from a relationship, and what needs will a relationship meet? And think about it clearly and specifically. And it may be different for everybody, but there's probably going to be some common themes here. So what are the needs that I'm trying to get met by having a girlfriend? And also, is there any other way that I can meet those needs without having a girlfriend? Is there anything I can do in my life? Now, I'm going to categorize these needs into two sections. There probably are many more sections that one could think of, more elements, more